Welcome back, everybody. It is Thursday with the Purpose with Passion series, and I am your host, Teany Hidalgo, your purpose coach. And Thursdays, every Thursday at 9 o'clock, it's your weekly dose of high vibe, forward thinking, and revolutionary content that encourages you to discover the passions that lead you to your purpose. And I'm so grateful and thankful to have Amelia Martinez here with me. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to your awesome program.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So we're going to get into who she is. And, I love having people on the show that have interesting stories, but this one is epic.
It is something else. It's a shameable epic.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So I hope you're watching because it's going to be a really, really good one. And you guys know I love talking about like from rags to riches and triumphs. And it's all about like, getting through all the obstacles in order to really pursue what you really love. So this is a perfect example of an epic comeback that is Amelia's story. And I can't wait to talk about it. But before we get there, I just want to make sure that all the tech is working and that we are officially live. So bear with me for a moment while I check really quick. Okay, good. Looks like we are go. All right. Hello. For those of you who are online, feel free to ask any questions and post in the comments below. And if we don't get to it, I'll have Amelia respond later on if you guys have any questions at all. So I hope you come prepared because today is an amazing story. So let me get into who Amelia is. She is a high achiever who reached executive positions for Fortune 100 corporations before the age of 30. Yes, you heard it. Ever since she was a teenager, she became fascinated with the power of the mind and personal development. And just when she thought she had it all, her world came crumbling down in 60 days. Epic, right? Epic. The gift in disguise that took her to her passion, to her freedom, and showed her that she hasn't gotten that far to just get that far. Today, she is an integrated life coach who makes rapid and lasting transformations through bio-reprogramming. We'll get into that, right? Of the mind and hypno-coaching. So I hope you guys are intrigued because that little blurb alone was like, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? But she's here to tell the tale. So obviously it turned out well, right, Amelia?
That is right. That is right.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you all for joining. And again, if you have any questions, post it in the comments below as we talk, or we can, discuss it later on and we'll let you guys know how to reach her as well. So let's get into it, Amelia. Let's get into your journey. I'm so happy that you're an integrated life coach now, but everyone has a story. And I want to know how everything went down, as they say. What happened? I mean, you were like, promising corporate mogul. I mean, it sounds like, Fortune 100 company executive. What happened?
I fell in love.
Uh-oh.
Yes, that's what happened. I fell in love. Thank you for such a nice introduction. It humbles me to be here, like I said, in this program and sharing with your audience my story, which I decided to start sharing with people with the intent of bringing healing, bringing understanding, and being that person that I wish would be in my life many years before to avoid some steps that I think that otherwise could have gone different, if not for me, for other people coming right behind me.
Absolutely.
So, yes. Like I said, I fell in love. I graduated from law school at 21. And ever since I was a teenager, I started to toy around with the power of the mind and personal development. My dad never spoke to me about it. He was a Mason. Mm-hmm. But he had this amazing library, and he got together with some friends and some cousins, and they talked, men thing in those days. And I try to stay as close as possible to kind of catch the conversation, curiosity, right? And one day I caught him talking about the power of the mind and how we use 10%. And being a teenager, I had just recently started to be fluent in percentages. So I understood what 10% meant of the whole. And I remember that I I went in and I say, and what happened with the other percentage? I was just like being such a smarty pants, just like hush me out of the room as fast as they could. And that was the end of the conversation until many, many years later. So I had to pretty much invent this fantasy of the power of the mind and the 10%. And I start grabbing books out of his bookshelf and start reading a little bit. Not that I understood a lot, but I think my unconscious mind was paying attention. So moving forward, I saw that as
Did he know, by the way, that
hobby.
you were picking up those books?
Not until after I graduated from my master's. We never talked about it. He never talked with me, or like it was not a conversation, that it was a topic in the house. But he pretty much used the learnings, and I heard him quoting things that I knew came from the books. But I assumed that it was something that he did on his spare time, and I took it on my spare time. So because it wasn't my spare time, I had to do something else. And there I was. I went to law school. I wanted to be an actress. He said, forget it. I'm not going to fund you in Hollywood. And I ended up in law school. As a high achiever, of course, I exceeded all of my grades, and I graduated at 21. At 18, I was defending criminal cases. And I went into the courthouse and find all of these files that were yellow that nobody would touch. And that's how I picked my people that I was going to defend.
So you purposely picked the tough ones?
I purposely picked the ones that I thought nobody cared about them and they would die in jail because nobody was picking up their files. And whether they were tough or not, I will figure it out later. But I picked the yellowish, the more yellow of the files. And then I went to my teachers, my criminal law teachers, and I say, how can I do this? They'll point me out to the law and they'll represent me. They'll give me grade for it. And I went to court and I defended a total of 7 criminal cases that otherwise the guys would have stayed in jail for a long time. So at the age of 18, when most of my friends were thinking about happy hours or buying a nice dress, I was there making a line in the jail system so that I could go see my guys.
So wait, back up. Before you continue the story, I want to know, who are you? How did this side of you, this personality it's unusual, like you said, most 18-year-old are out there wanting to party and have fun with their friends. I mean, where did that come from? Where'd you learn that from? Or what do you think inspired that?
I felt, I think my mom, I had a pretty good childhood, I would say. And I was always concerned in helping people. And how could I help? But like I said, my dad used to say that what your left hand did, your right hand shouldn't know about it. So even doing those deeds were something that I was not supposed to be putting out there and publishing and boasting myself for what I was doing. So on that regard, I was doing all this and only few people knew, my teachers and my parents, for example. And I would continue pursuing a normal life like everybody else with dreams and passions, etc. But on my downtime, I would pick up books on personal development and the power of the mind. One of my first teachers was Paramahamsa Yogananda, who eventually I became initiated in Kriya Yoga. And I've been in Kriya Yoga student for like 20 years. So I pretty much started to develop a parallel life, one where I was developing my critical thinking and my education, and another one that I was starting to toy with things that I didn't see in any book in the law school or any school that I went to. I couldn't say that I found it in my own environment because it was not talked about. And when I brought it among my friends or later on among my colleagues, I found that nobody knew what I was talking about. It didn't make any sense. So I continue having it just like on my own personal side.
I think you were ahead of your time, for sure.
Maybe.
In terms of your age group, you know what I mean? Well, other kids were doing other things. Absolutely.
No. And
I find it
yeah,
interesting that you were able to balance those two, though, because I mean, they are two parts, different parts of the brain, right? You critical and then,
completely,
yeah, absolutely.
completely. But I didn't know it then. And I
Right.
thought that whatever I got through my smartness, I eventually would be able to turn into whatever I wanted to. So I pretty much thought that all of this information that I was getting in terms of books, in terms of personal mentoring, because after I graduated from law school, I say, now what do I study? I mean, I have my master's, I have 2 law degrees, one in the United States, one in Dominican Republic, I have 4 languages, and now what else? So my driven high achiever says, okay, then you need to start getting more serious on the personal development. And I started to fly and to train personally with amazing mentors such as Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, EPD, Louis Hay, EPD, Marianne Williamson, Carolyn Mintz, Brian Wise, Sonia Choquete.
Right.
Deepak Chopra. So I started to go to where they were and learn from them how to really make my own life richer in terms of happiness and fulfillment for myself. I never intended to use this and share it with many other people and help them transform their own lives.
Right. Right.
So
Well, as far
everything
as you were
went.
concerned, you were a lawyer, right? Like,
Yes. So, being a lawyer at 21, I got my first regional counsel position by the age of 28. I was over 6 figures, and I had all of the legal responsibility for a Fortune 100 corporation from Mexico down to Patagonia in every single area of the
wow.
company. And so, there I was again, spending a lot of time reading cases and educating myself even more to do my job correctly, because I had to do everything well. And on the weekends and on my time off, there I was meditating, going to the ashram, washing dishes, helping cut vegetables, being silent, because they don't care about any of these things. They don't really care where you come from.
Were
And
you
that
still
was
living
so
at home, by the way?
fascinating. No. I moved from home at the age of 22. I graduated at 21, and I came for my master's for what's supposed to be 1 year only. And, faith has it, or maybe creation. And I attracted and put myself in front of people that brought me to my first Fortune 100 corporation, and that got hired in less than 30 days.
Wow.
And I was an attorney there, but I was not an attorney here yet. So I started as a lower position, and I started to study for the bar. I completed all that I completed in less than 2 years. I was already being an attorney for them,
Nice.
a U.S. attorney for them as well. But it was very convenient because I had already my degree and my experience in the Dominican Republic. So that would translate into an easy practice in Latin America.
Right.
And in those days, more than now, we were very, very few. I was among the 0.3% or 4%, 0.3 or 0.4% of Latinas who have ever occupied an executive position for a Fortune 100
Wow.
corporation. And I did it 3 times.
Amazing.
So it was a very lonely process as a Latina, because I was surrounded by, I always probably was the only woman and maybe an African American, and everybody else was white men. And it felt kind of lonely in that sense. But I guess that I started so early to be surrounded by power that I pretty much lost these admiration or respect. I just felt like I was one of them, basically. And
Makes
I just
sense.
came right in there.
You fit right in, Amelia.
Yes. Like, I was the only one. And by the way, the shortest, because I'm not too tall. I speak with an accent. But I came and I felt pretty certain. Like, I always try to guide myself from what I learned from the books and what I knew and what it felt good inside. And that's how I carry my transactions. And until today, none of the negotiations, I've been involved in negotiations in the billions of dollars, billions, like $7 billion, $8 billion. Which
Insane.
after a couple of zeros, you start just like playing like Monopoly. You know, you really the terms are about the same. The only thing that changes are the zeros. But even though I was in that environment of making those negotiations, I always felt like it was this extra layer of connection within that allow me to succeed and allow me to get so far, much more than my degrees or the universities that I attended or anything like that.
Right.
So everything was going well. And then
what could
the
go wrong?
love bug bit me and I fell in love. By the time that I fell in love, like I said, I was already pretty high in the corporate world, and I was like, few steps down from general counsel of a regional of a Fortune 100 or 500, which is pretty big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I fell in love and got pregnant. And my first daughter was born with certain health issues that we discovered a few months afterwards. It was a heart condition. She's fine now. But that started, if my life was split between the rational part and the spiritual part, now it got split in two more sides because I had to take care of things at home, and in the corporate world, there was no space for my personal life. There was no, everything had to be completely divided. In order for me to succeed where I was, I needed to leave Amelia at the door. There I was, the regional counsel.
I can imagine. I mean, you were surrounded by men in a corporate environment, mostly white men, right? With wives, but none of them are, like wives, right, themselves. So they don't understand how it works. Yeah.
No, they don't. And it was really difficult. There were, for example, when I was breastfeeding, I had to bring the pump, and I got the one that looked like a briefcase. Right. And I went into the bathroom and I left the pump and the milk in the bathroom. I had the nanny come and pick it up. So, and I will go on a water break. I'll say, I'll be right back. I'll go on a water break, and I'll just like run down, bring the milk down, pat my baby, and went upstairs and continue, with my meetings or my contracts or whatever, and be there for long hours. And then at lunchtime, I would just have my nanny bring the baby, and then I would hide somewhere close to where I was, the building, and I nurse her for a little bit and give her a kiss. And there she went again. So I started to feel this pull between being a mother, being having a family, and also being the power woman that had to be there for my clients and had to close the transactions. So I started to feel that too. In occasions, I had to go on a private plane with my clients, and I had to send my nanny with my daughter on a commercial line. And they would wait for me in the hotel. They wouldn't come out. Nobody would know she was there. And on the breaks from meetings, I would go upstairs and see her and nurse her and give her medicines. Remember that she had some heart issues, and I couldn't leave her behind. So it started
How were you able to manage having this like split life?
I don't know. I don't really know.
Insane.
I don't really know. I must have been like an octopus in another life or something.
Did you even take time off when you were pregnant, like to have the child? Like how long did you take off?
I didn't, because in those days, the work would come to you, would continue. Like they will call you at home, and what I was going to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a nap with my baby right now. So I had to be available at the position that I was from home. And I continued doing that. But little by little, sorry, that's my bird. He's having a party. And in that interim, I started to split, just pretty much like a telomere inside of us, or just like one of those shoestring. I felt that I started to split in different avenues. And I started to feel that all these empowerment that I have inside was weakening as I was splitting into more and more parts of who I was.
Right.
Then I had more kids, and I started to feel even more overwhelmed. I got the point that I have already sent my former husband to get his MBA, and he was getting up professionally as well, and he entered the corporate world as well. And we both agreed to my disadvantage that I should stay at home. I do remember he said, just like if I wasn't split enough, he says, let's divide and conquer. So what we would do is you would take care of the kids and everything at home. How about that? And I'll, go to work and I'll take care of our financial situation. But at that point, it's not that I came to my marriage without any money whatsoever. I came with properties, I came with assets, I came with investments. I came pretty up.
Right.
And
so it was okay for you to take that time. It's not like you
I think
needed to work at that point. Yeah.
And having worked in transactions of billions of dollars, I thought that it would be fantastic if somebody else would take care of my pennies. So I let him run our financial world, or that area of our lives. And in the meantime, I started to become more and more of a crunchy granola mama. I started to do homeschooling. I took time away I stepped down from the corporate world and started to invest myself with the same intensity in, I would say, in an effort to integrate myself back again and become whole energetically and in terms of power. I started to focus in my role as a mother, as a wife, and as a homeschooler. I started to get even more deep into other things such as Reiki. I went to nutritional school just so that I knew what to feed my babies. I mean, I never intended any of these to be shared with anybody outside of my own home.
Right.
And I started to dedicate a lot of time into strengthening the power of their minds now that I knew what I was talking about, and strengthening our relationship.
So let's pause there for a second, because I'm curious. One, did the people at your job think you were crazy for leaving a corporate position, especially at the height of your success?
Absolutely. When I announced it that I was leaving, my family thought that I was crazy. They said, you're gonna repent it one day because, the kids are gonna grow, they're gonna leave. And I said, but, it's few years and I can pick whatever I leave whenever I am ready again, because this experience that I have, nobody can take it away from me. Absolutely. My degrees, my bar, none of that can be taken away from me. And the good thing is that the corporate world, the legal world doesn't change as rapidly as technology. So the laws are going to be the laws. And, I figure like I'll be just right back and I'll find things in the same way that I left it. My family thought I was crazy. My friends thought that I was crazy too. But something inside of me says this is the right thing to do right this moment. And I want to talk to you in a little bit about the 6 human needs. And I felt that was giving me both certainty and adventure that I needed, trying to figure out how to be happy without having a title, without having to be a big somebody. How could I find my own significance and be important when I was in sneakers with a ponytail, cooking or taking the kids to the zoo when nobody knew what I was or what I used to do? I felt that it was a way to ground myself, and also bring that groundness into my kids. In one end, I still tell them learning is a privilege. So I've taught them since they were very little the power of knowledge, the power of reading, the power of following your curiosity. But at the same time, I want them to be of this world. while they are in this world having this human experience.
Absolutely.
So yes, it was a very difficult situation, but I thought I had married for life. I married, like I said, I fell in love when I met him. I didn't need absolutely anything, not even my papers. Like some people thought that maybe I was marrying because I needed papers. No, my grandfather gave me that. So I came, I was the full package by the time I got married. I literally chose. Did I choose right or wrong? Not sure, but I have amazing 4 children.
Yeah, I was gonna say your children are a blessing just on
They
their
are.
own.
They really are. Even though I say that I would have had the most amazing children with whoever I have picked.
Absolutely.
But
So your kids never saw you as that corporate person. They
they
only saw
never
you as
knew I
mommy.
was a lawyer.
Right.
Because by the time I retired from my last Fortune 100 company, they were still 5, 6 years old. They didn't understand really well. And from there on, they knew me as a homeschooling mom. And
Right.
it was not until after I got divorced that they said that you are what? And they started to realize about my professional path, and that no, I wasn't just at home because I didn't have anything else to do. I was just at home because it was my choice, because I wanted to do it for you, for my marriage, and for our family.
Right.
So, to make a long story short, the more I got invested in my family life, the more we spent less time together. He traveled a lot, and he spent many hours working, even though he had a home office. Sometimes I wouldn't even see him all day when he was in the house. If he wasn't traveling, and I got used to thinking that that was normal. We were, like he said, we were dividing and conquering. I thought that he was conquering, he was making sure that our future, financial future, was going to be secure. And I was making sure that the children's well being and the home was also secure for the present and the future. But I think that in my wanting to, in using the power of the mind, I got really confused. You see, back in 2005, I had 2 children only, and I started to feel this discomfort inside about my relationship. Mind you, I already have 2 kids. I married forever. What is this? Nobody talks about their relationships in detail. So I really didn't know what was normal. Like you hear out there that, oh, relationships, marriages, they're not easy. You have to take this much. And you don't really know, at least I didn't know how difficult they could be. My mom and my father kept things for themselves. We're 8 kids. It's not that I was paying attention to them, but I remember that even when they were having small little problems and I would try to inquire, my mom would say, that's our relationship. And it started way before you were born, and it's between him and I. And what is for 2, you don't have any, and they wouldn't give me any details. So over time, you learn to leave that alone. Things were not argued or discussed in front of us. So in 2005, after my second, I started to feel this discomfort. I was still working as a corporate counsel and being pretty much.
So if I may ask, the discomfort was in terms of the closeness that you had, or
in
was
terms
lacking?
of communication was lacking. I thought it was maybe a difference in culture. But I felt that I was saying A, and I hear the echo, and I didn't see it going anywhere. But he also knew about my studies of the power of the mind and my commitment to it. So when I went to my ex-husband and I used to say, hey, we got to talk, I feel this and that, he'd say, it's in your mind. Go to your mind and fix it yourself. I did. I did it over and over and over and over again. And it got the point that even when I got mad, I went to him and I said, you know what? Don't talk to me right now. I'm going to go figure it out myself and then we'll talk. So it would get to the point where even our own arguments, I started to fix on my own.
Wow.
And I thought it was normal. I mean, they tell you out there in the personal development culture that everything starts with you and ends up with you. So if I don't feel good in my marriage, starts with me and ends up with me.
Right.
Well, I learned that yes and no, because it really takes two to tango. And you cannot dance with a partner that doesn't want to be led. So in a relationship, that is very tricky. It's a knife of two edges, two-edged sword, double sword, because if it's true that we are responsible for our own experience into the marriage, we are not responsible for the marriage itself. We are not responsible for overcompensating what the other one is lacking. And I was doing a lot of that, not only in our own relationship, but also in front of the kids. And I was starting to feel this discomfort. So I went to Wayne Dyer, rest in peace, wherever he is, probably close.
Yeah.
And he told me, Amelia, you have heard me saying this many times, and I'm going to tell it to you personally and directly. The moment that you change the way you look at things, the things you're looking at change.
I love that quote.
And I took it in. He looked at me and he smiled. He put his hand here and he says, sit with it for a minute. And then he just like took off to do something else in the room. And I'm thinking, I'm an overachiever. I got to understand this phrase. And he's telling it to me. So I need to make it come alive in my life. And I said, I got it. There won't be any more complaints as of today. There won't be any more discomfort inside of me as of today. It is 2005. From now on until the day I die, I am going to make my relationship and his needs a priority. And I am going to start speaking from the future. You are the most amazing husband. You are the most amazing father.
Right.
And I started to do it in a way that it was not real. It was the equivalent of saying, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, and the weeds were taking the whole garden.
Wow.
But what happened is that when fast forward to 2015 and 15, early 16, when we started to have problems and all this exploded, people around me says, Amelia, what happened? You have the most amazing and perfect marriage. Have you been lying to us? It was really hard for me to say no. I was just like speaking from the future because I was changing the way I was looking at things, expecting the things that I was looking to change.
Right.
So no, I haven't been lying, but here I am almost 15 years later, realizing that the weed has eaten my garden. And I was married to somebody that probably I should have handled it differently and changed the way I was changing other kind of things that I was looking at. For example, what is the people going to say if I get divorced? What's going to happen with our finances if I have to split, right? So instead of changing the way I was looking at overcompensating in the relationship, I should have looked at other things, Being single, honorably, it's fine. Being a single mother, when you are doing that for the best of the family and showing to your children that it is not okay to settle for what is not for you and that it's okay to recognize you make mistakes, would have been a better thing.
Well, I'm curious also, I mean, obviously everyone has a role, right? It's two of you, like you said, it takes two to tango. Was he trying to also make it work?
No. I think that the more I put him on a pedestal, the more he believed it without trying, which is fantastic.
Wow.
So it went in as that's what she thinks of me, and that's it. So things were not really changing over time, but he was accepting it as if it was completely true.
Right.
And in the
Interesting.
process, he started to taking that praise as entitlement, I would like to say. And I started to position myself in a place of submission. So what I was given for free, which was admiration and trying to build it, was mistaken with weakness, with becoming less than or being less than, and submission. So
Right.
one day, finally, I grabbed my emotions and I say, there's something inherently wrong with what I'm feeling. There's something wrong in my life. And I said, I am not even menopause, so I'm not even there. It got to be something that is bothering me that I have not been wanting to see it. I cannot take it anymore. In 2011, I started writing a book on my own fantasy, right? Happy with you. And it's about passion and about relationship and how to be happy in a relationship. And until I got to the chapter of passion. And I say, wait a minute, I'm a woman who has lived with passion all of my life, but where's the passion in my relationship?
Yeah, where'd it go? Right.
What does it look like? So I went to him and I said, you know what? I'm stuck in my book. I cannot finish this book because there's a chapter I cannot finish and I don't lie. So I'm not going to pretend something that I'm not feeling. And he told me, passion is whatever you want it to be. Go into your mind and fix it. And I said, okay, you're right. So since 2011, I started to try to find passion in a fruit, trying to find passion in sweeping the floor, in being with my kids. Like I was trying to find passion in every single way. But then I realized there's one romantic passion you can only find in one place only. So these other ways of passion could not compensate for the lack that I was feeling in my romantic relationship.
Right.
So finally in 15, I said, you know what, there's something wrong in our relationship. And he says, how can you say that? I'm the best man and I'm the best father. You tell me all the time. And I say, yes, but I was talking from the future. It hasn't happened. So, he says, he thought that I was being very, what is the word that he said? Well, whatever. But he thought that I was being ungrateful. That's what he says. You're ungrateful. And I guess he wanted to teach me a lesson. So he went on and cleaned up the bank accounts one Saturday. And when I came back from the farmer's market with my, organic eggs from the chicken in the corner and the milk and the raw milk, I found the surprise that everything that it was us, it was now his. Wow. And he has moved all of our funds from our marital
all of your
funds.
Assets, right?
Yes, he's just like funnel it out. And later on, I found where it was, but I had, in the moment, first the pedestal I have built just like completely went down. But more than that, the pain that I felt inside of me, it was like there was no sound whatsoever. I think that my languages, all of them, that my comprehension of language went away when I realized that I have worked so hard, that I have achieved so much, that I have sacrificed so much. And I was indigent in that moment because I have given the power to a man to manage the finances for both of us, thinking he will take care of it in the future.
Right.
I don't have words to describe the pain, the emptiness, the disgust. I didn't even have tears. It was just like in dismay. I felt so ashamed. I felt, how, Amelia, can you be so smart and have proven that you can handle so much and F it up in this amazing way in your own personal life when there's not a limelight, when there's not a camera, when there's nobody to even applaud this shameful thing that you have done on yourself. And I blame myself for a
I'm
long time.
curious, did he even say something to, explain what he was doing and why he was doing it?
Did I talk about the miscommunication we had since the very beginning?
I mean, for sure, but I
He
figured
hasn't
he would at
explained
least
anything
have an
until
end.
today.
Wow.
No, he remarried somebody way younger who he already had met before. So he already was preparing. I guess his exit out. Obviously, he was ready, and I was not. But I was
Right.
not expecting it. So I had two choices in that moment. Either I play the victim and I succumb on that pain and that hurt and took on the archetype of the wounded victim,
Right.
or I could try to gather all of this knowledge and wisdom that I've been accruing for so many years and transform it into a comeback in whichever way, shape, and form I could.
Absolutely.
Overnight, I didn't have a penny. In 60 days, I starved. I didn't have any money to do absolutely anything. And I accepted his offer because when I went to visit an attorney, they said, yeah, I mean, all these financial transactions can be traced back to somewhere, but you need to pay me in advance my retainers and guarantee me, payment of this much. Low battery. Wait, what's happening here? Can you give me one quick second?
Yeah.
So the give me one sec. Hold on.
If you guys have questions or, oh my God, this is like epic right now. I feel like we're at the crossroads of the shift that she's about to make. So if you guys have any questions or thoughts on the things that she's talking about, and if you yourself have had experiences like
I'm
this,
so sorry.
where it's been, from night and day, you've had
There we
drastic
go.
changes and drastic experiences, feel free to comment below, because I mean, I know that she's not the only one.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm actually just talking to the audience about, if you guys have epic stories similar to this and you've gone through, these changes night and day, where it's been amazing, sunny then one day and like, epically dark the next day, please post below, because I think this is an opportunity for us to be able to share and like, be there.
Yes. I debated a lot with opening up and share my story because I felt very ashamed of myself. I thought it was my fault that I did not take the precautions. I thought it was my fault that I have loved so deep that I have gone into blindness. I thought it was my lack of self confidence and self esteem and self love that has caused me to accept that relationship and that has put me in that position. And for those 60 days, I couldn't have peace in my mind, thinking, how am I going to get out of this? And I felt disgust. I would look myself in the mirror and I did not want to look at myself in the eyes. I felt that I have failed to myself, to the child inside of me, that I have failed to my 4 children, that I have failed to my parents, to everybody who used to look at me as somebody that eventually they could aspire to be, especially when I went and talked to law schools and to high schools, to children, and tell them you can do this and you can have it all and you can be whatever you want to be and have a family too, because I've been able to do it. It's not easy, but you can do it. And all of a sudden I felt like, oh my gosh, I have failed to the world, starting with failing to myself.
My goodness.
And when I had that breakthrough, I realized that I have not gone this far just to go this far, that the obstacle was actually the way, and that I was presenting a beautiful opportunity in disguise to really prove what I came here to do, which was teach to this lifetime. I remember that when Dyer once says, like, in when I was an angel before I came to this lifetime, I must have said I want to be a teacher, and somebody up there must have said, "Are you sure, Wayne? Because you're going to have it tough." And up to that point, I've had it relatively easy. I mean, relatively easy because we are as successful, as committed we are in what we do. But in that moment, I really had to take a decision. Was I going to roll over and die, or was I going to work myself to thrive again? I left the house.
Wait, before you continue your story, one break.
Yes.
We have some people asking questions. So, okay, here we go, Yurka. I can relate to Amelia. We are smart for school and job, but we make mistake to put all in the person that we marry forever. I also see myself with no money to pay utilities, buy school supplies for my kids. So she had a similar story. And she says she got so depressed and got sick that she almost died. But thanks to God that she's still here. So there are women who have the same experience as you. Yeah.
Yes. I am so glad that I am sharing and open up, because I thought I was the only stupid out there. I promise you, I thought so. And when I called my family, they were like, "Are you crazy? I mean, you said you had the most amazing marriage. What's going on?" The situation got so abusive because he continued mistaking my acceptance with the things as they were with weakness. And he continued pushing even harder and pushing harder. I remember that he did not even want to pay attorneys. And I said, perfect. We went to the library and I said, I'm an indigent person, so I probably can get an attorney for free. I went to the courthouse. I got one of those books, got one of those forms, and I presented it to him as the form. He says, no money, no this, no alimony, no insurance for the, for life insurance for the kids. No, nothing that had to do with money. And it was my money too in there, And I continue saying, okay, no problem. Because in that moment, when I decided that I was going to accept the divorce as he brought it to me without fighting it in court, it was because I realized, I said, Amelia, what is the most important thing? What is the most important thing? Think fast. And I say, time. Time is the only thing that we don't really get back. Time is the only thing that is really our currency. So if I stay here fighting for money, I am losing the most precious of all my treasures, which is time.
Right.
I need time to heal. I need time to make again a way and figure out for my kids. I need time. And if I don't know what's going to happen with me tomorrow. If I died in 2 days, if I died in 5 years, I need to use this time that I have left. And I woke up to it. And that's when I decided you can keep whatever it's important to you for as long as I can walk out of here with the kids. Of course, if you already have plans to marry, whatever, for children from the age 2 to 12 is not really the most important thing, the most important term of your divorce. So he was okay with me taking the kids.
Wow.
But he thought that I was not going to go any farther because I did not even have 5 pennies in my name. The car was on his name. The house was the first house that it was bought on his name, because all the other house prior to that one was on mine. So I didn't have anything. My family says, do you want us to send you some money as a loan? And I say, nope. I got into this trouble by myself. I have to figure this out. And when I'm ready to ask for a loan, I will. But in the meantime, let me figure this out. That mentality helped me because my mindset helped me to realize that you can do whatever, but nobody can get into my mind the idea that I don't want to take. Viktor Frankl, on his book, Men's Search for Meaning, he was in a concentration camp. He says that at night, he says, they can torture me, they can do whatever, but they cannot take away the freedom that I own inside of my mind.
Absolutely.
And I remember all these things. So all of a sudden, all of this knowledge that I have, I started to just come like bubbles. And I started to find strength and find strength. And the more strength I found, the more I started to realize if I look that way, it doesn't feel good, it's not good for me. If I look that way and it feels good, then, it's my unconscious mind is helping me to make the right decision.
I also feel like, well, your intuition was helping you too. I mean, we all have our innate intuitions, our own signs, our things that we use that guide us in the right direction. I mean, it was your mind that helped you, but it's also your intuition and your feeling of what was right for you.
You
right?
are absolutely correct. Because up to that point, I was thinking of my mind as one thing and one integrated thing. But our mind has the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. The conscious mind is the critical thinker. It has the critical factor in there. Here
Right.
I learned, I could practice law, I could read agreements, I could solve a math problem. But and these only represents about 1% of my daily life. My life is run by my own conscious mind. His life was run by his unconscious mind.
Right.
So all of these conflicts and toxicity and everything that came out to play came because we're conflicting patterns from many, many, many years ago that we still had hanging and causing havoc inside of our unconscious mind. So when I start to think, for example, if I change the way I look at things, the things would look at change. I'm doing that with my 1%. Now, when I bring that inside and feel that and bring it into being, then I'm talking to my unconscious mind, and then things can happen. You see, all
Right.
these years, I found out that most of my repetition of affirmations fell flat on the floor. Nobody can talk me today about the law of attraction. It doesn't exist. To me, the law of attraction is the metaphysical name for praying. If it happens, happen. If it doesn't happen, doesn't happen. What really happens to us is that we co-create. We co-create our life, and we do that by enlisting our unconscious mind and our conscious mind. When we're having struggles, it's because we're working more from the conscious part, not the unconscious. And the unconscious mind is the one that is going to give us not only the good things, but all of the conflicts and nasty things and the negative emotions that we not necessarily want to feel. Right. So you are absolutely right. And I started to realize that then and there. I said, I had it all wrong all these years. No wonder I was sabotaging my life because I was trying to lead it with the wrong part of my mind instead of communing, integrating, and working with
And
my
of course, the way
unconscious
he
mind.
worked also exacerbated, that part of your mind, because he kept saying, go to your mind, figure it out, right? The whole
Exactly.
time.
He did for 15 years. And I took it as almost like I saw him and I didn't feel good about him. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll meditate, I'll do a mantra, whatever come out. Well, it doesn't work that way. You really need, because whatever we think and resolve with the conscious mind, it doesn't get translated to the unconscious, because the unconscious is like a computer, it's programming. It doesn't understand okay, this is what we're going to do. What do you think? Oh, yeah, sure. No, none of that. It's programming. Boom. That's what you got to do. End of the story. It's like talking to a computer or a monitor that doesn't have any software in there, or put a software and expecting it to do something else, like it's Microsoft and you expect it to act like Excel. No, you can't. So yes.
Absolutely. Wow. Insane.
Completely.
So let's move forward now, because I know now you figured it out.
Yes.
Now you figured out what went wrong and how you can move forward. How did you manage to pick up with your 4 kids and move forward? What else inspired you as you went along? How
it
did
was
you?
scary.
Yeah.
It was very scary. Just every step of the way, I would say that I was scared, to the bones.
Yeah.
But I knew that at the end of the day, scared or not, I needed to make a decision. So I was willing to go for And Tony Robbins, one of my mentors too, once says that the quality of your life is directly related to the amount of uncertainty that you can comfortably, and here's the key, comfortably can internalize, can accept. So even though I was scared, I said, okay, the quality of my life is going to be equal to the amount of uncertainty that I can take. And never in my life I've been left without a net. Never. I don't know, but we get afraid of more things going wrong than what they really do wrong. 99.9% of the time, the things that we think are going to go wrong never happen.
They never
Something
do.
else would happen. So I did one Saturday. On Friday, he got home and he says, on Monday, I'm going to go to the judge. And I'm going to tell him that you're an indigent person, that maybe it's a good idea that the kids stay with me until you find yourself a job and settle down. And I said, oh my gosh, that's the ultimate. I mean, I've been framed. Roger Rabbit, I've been framed. So I stay there calm and quiet, thinking what to do. And I wanted something that would feel right. So all of a sudden, I went out of the house and I was outside of the house and I saw, just leave. He told you to leave to Miami. Pick it up. Go and leave. And I'm thinking, like, I don't have money. I don't have anything. And I said, but like Tony Robbins would say, if you don't have resource, become resourceful. Right. Resourcefulness will get you there. I pick up the phone. I call a girl that we went to school together when we were in elementary school. And I say, hey, don't ask me a question, but I need a favor. Can you please pick me up tomorrow when I call you? Like, I'm going to call you fast. Can you pick me up tomorrow? She says, yeah, okay. And I said, don't ask me a question. I'll tell you tomorrow. And do you have a cell phone? Can you bring it? Make sure you bring it. She's like, okay. So that Saturday morning, I went to him and I say, listen, there's no food in the house. Up to now, me starving wouldn't be a problem. I mean, it's actually good for my diet because, but as of today, the kids are going to start starving. So why don't you give me money? Can you imagine me asking for money? I felt like so humiliated. Can you give me money so that I can go to the supermarket and buy food for the week? And he said, no. But make me a list, which was exactly what I wanted him to tell me. So I went to the kitchen and wrote a list, and I wrote the most crazy list, like send them to where the eggs were like 3 different times, or the meats or the vegetables. And, it was just like a crazy list because I wanted to win time. I gave it to him and I stayed. The nanny was still in the house, but the nanny was, with him. So I got a book bag. I told her, prepare for the kids a little book bag, like if we're going on a weekend. And it was like literally a book bag with a change of clothes. And for me, it was my purse. I went around the house. When he left, I called my friend. My friend says, I'm in pajamas. I say, I don't have time. Come in pajamas. I'm serious. Come in pajamas. You're not going to need to get out of the car. So she came. I sent the kids out to play. I look around and this amazing, beautiful house that I thought it was my home. And as I look around, I imagine that I was involved in it in fire and everything was getting burned to ashes. I look at absolutely everything. I pick up my iPad. When I went by the room, I went to the kitchen, got my caramel thermometer, like out of all things, was going to need my caramel thermometer, put it on my purse and walk out like nothing happened. Pick up my kids, got my book bags, waited for my friend. And on the way to the airport, with some miles that I had on my name, which is the only thing I had on my name, I got us our tickets, one-way tickets, and came to Miami. And that's how I made it to Miami.
Wow.
When I was at the airport, and my kid says, we're hungry. And I realized I let my friend go without asking her for money. I'm not used to not having a credit card that works or having no money at all. I mean, it was crazy. I have never lived that in my life. And I said, oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. I went to a lady and I said, excuse me, I'm just walking out of a very abusive relationship. We have gotten divorced and I am going to Miami, but I don't have any money with me. Would you mind to donate me $10 to buy these kids some, something? And she looked at me and she says, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. My eyes water because I realized what I was doing. I was begging." So I
Wow.
went from being a corporate attorney to indigent to begging. The woman got $20 out. And I said, "Write me your address. I'm going to send it to you." And she says, "No, don't worry about it." Oh my gosh, I
Oh,
wanted to die. I felt so horrible. I felt like really like a homeless. So I went and got water, got him snacks. In the meantime, which is so funny, I'm feeling this horrible. And in front of them, I was just like trying to keep my spirit high because I believe that they realize and they look up to you to see what's happening.
absolutely.
So
And they feel your energy too. So,
I was scared. So I hope they didn't feel it. I was feeling ashamed of myself. I hope they didn't feel it. But in my face, I tried to hold it together for them and smile and give them this confidence that it doesn't matter what they were really feeling. My smile and my eyes will tell into them, "You guys are going to be okay. We are going to be okay." And I didn't know this. I didn't know this. So I got here. I stayed with one of my relatives, and then I said, "Now is the moment for you to lend me some money." I start calling colleagues and got agreements, and I got
wow.
legal work. The following Monday, I worked out of a computer somebody lent to me, and I started to work like a maniac. Put the kids in public school, forget homeschooling. Our lives change. It's like, forget
Wow.
organics. What? Organics? What? Forget about it. So I said to my kids, "We got a meeting." I once heard Dalai Lama saying that because he doesn't cook the food that he eats, he accepts anything that is put on his empty bowl, and that what he does, he gives the command to his body, and he says, "I command you to use whatever nurtures you, and whatever no, let it go." So
Right.
I told my kids, and all of a sudden we went from organics to "I command you to use whatever nurtures you, and everything let it go." So here we are.
So
And
hold on a second. We have a question here from Yurka. She says, first of all, she's astounded by your story. She's like, "Oh my gosh, she started from zero again." And the other thing she had a question about is, what did you do to guarantee that your children were not affected negatively from all these events?
um, early on, since I started to do like my mom did, and I started to imprint on their minds that whatever happens to daddy and I is a relationship that started way before they arrived. That's the
Right.
first thing that I did. The second thing that I did is to own my own truth and to own my own emotions. If I went to them with a face of defeated, they were going to feel insecure. They were going to feel affected. If I
Right.
tell them I am, and actually they didn't know, so it caught me by surprise. It caught them by surprise as well. When
Mm-hmm.
we were on the way to the airport, I told them, "Listen, guys, Patty and I have been having some problems. I think that we all are going to be happier if we live away for a little while. We're going to Miami and let's see what he decides." So I left the door open little by little. And I remember my daughter says, "Mama, are we leaving the Shire?" And I said, "Yes, we're leaving the Shire, just like
Mm-hmm.
the Lord of the Ring."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I said, "It's going to be exciting." So it was horrible because I put him on school on Monday and I drop him in school and I schedule myself to cry for sometimes 2 hours, sometimes an hour, depending on the time. And I would cry my eyes off and I would do all these things and I would say all these horrible things because I felt if I keep them inside, they can get me sick. So I just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
did all this kind of things. When the alarm rang, I would meditate for 15 minutes. So I would change modes and then I start working. And I started
Wow.
the day and I would keep going.
And that
And
helps
at
you too,
night,
because it helped you release everything and like prep to do that before your kids came back. So you were
yes, I
freer,
think
right?
I think that it's important for us to own our morning.
Yeah.
There's no gain in pretending to be strong when we're feeling like crap inside. There's no gain. I
Absolutely.
think that in owning our vulnerability, we find our strength again. It wasn't easy. I separated myself from the world for those days. I let my friends go. I told my family I'm not the most fun person to be around this moment. I need to concentrate my energy,
Your efforts and
my
energy.
good vibe in front of my clients for my meetings, because I was working on the phone and doing contracts, and in
Did
front of
you
my
go back to
kids.
legal for a bit? Is
I
that
went
what
back. I went back to legal.
Yeah.
And I was working crazy hours picking up the kids. I didn't have any help till today. Financially, I'm hardly being helped by him. Hardly. Everything is on my shoulders. So I have this amazing pressure, and I don't have anything. Like tomorrow, I just like blup, and I don't have anything. I don't own a house. I'm still renting 3 years afterwards.
3 years.
But we're doing well.
It's interesting because in stories like this, you feel like you want vindication, right? For those of you who are watching, we're like, what happened to him? Like something has to happen. But in a way, your success, the fact that you did everything that you did, and you did it in such a smart way. And then like you went to family. It's not like you were all by yourself, and then you built yourself up again. That is vindication, right? Like that is the ultimate.
Yes, he hasn't been able. I don't know. In law they would say that's her, say your honor. So I'm not going to pretend to know what he's feeling or whatnot. But I can tell you at the beginning, it was this desire also to show him that, you know what, with or without you, I'm gonna make it.
That's right.
And over time, I realized that's not what it is. That was a stepping stone into finding my own drive, who I am. Gosh, when the day I got divorced, nobody knew my name in my neighborhood. I realized I was the mother of or the wife of.
Right.
Nobody knew my name for 15 years. The first night when we got here to Miami, I rented a house the following morning. I got some money loan, but I was able to pay them. I've been working like a maniac. So funny because you ask my kids what's my favorite hobby, they'll tell you work. But it's 5 of us. And I was working a lot. I don't forgot the story where I was going to. But when we got here, I rented a house the following Monday, and I got it like a week after. Initially I bought everything secondhand. I had to go. I went from Nordstrom to Goodwill. I mean, with my kids here, and I said, okay, we're going shopping. And I said, you know what we're doing? There's a lot of waste in this world. We're becoming a world of consumerism. So we are going to recycle. Because when we recycle, we're helping Mother Earth. So all I had to do is just like to really reframe and rethink differently. I could have gone to Goodwill and says, oh my gosh, what am I buying? Putting this on my kids. I said, I'll wash it really good. And there we go. If I have to pay this, and that, I'm going to have to choose my battles because I'm not going to go crazy. And it was fantastic. I mean, honestly, going there was just like, oh, look at this and look at this. Oh my gosh, that's so cheap. Look, 25 cents. Before you knew, we even have toys and we have things. And I look around and I said, it doesn't even look like we left with nothing, Right. It probably is not from Macy's, but it may do. And some things, little by little, I've been able to replace.
Well, and the interesting thing with children is that the most expensive thing might not always be the best thing. Like I remember when my son was younger, he would play with boxes. He'd play with wrapping paper. Like it really doesn't take a whole lot for kids to be happy. It's really how you present it to them, which in the way that you did it was such a beautiful and fun way, right? It's an adventure for them to go and look for things, even if it's in Goodwill, right? It's how you create that world for them. Yeah.
Yes. And I also told them the universe has our back. Yeah. The universe has the back of our health. So because I didn't have insurance for almost 2 years and something, I couldn't afford that. I mean, I was left, you can't imagine what I went just literally from having everything to having nothing overnight with 4 children this time. And little children, she was 2 when we got divorced, my youngest. So it's not like you can just like say, come guys, help me. They still need me, Right. They still require a lot of me. But I needed to change the story and find my own power, which is not my power. You have it too. You who's watching. The
Right.
same power I have inside is the same power that you have. When they say that we are created at the same, at the image, alike, we are one. You have the same thing that I hope that I do. You have the same determination. You're
Right.
gonna feel like crappy. Yeah, so what? It's one more emotion. Enjoy it, put it a timer, and move on. Do something else.
Right.
Not every day is, hunky dory. And sometimes I say, oh my gosh, I wish I would be at the Ritz Carlton. And then I say, maybe not. And then I'll come up with something. Well, last time I was there probably wasn't that good, or maybe next time I go is going to be so splendid and perfect. I'm even, I have a trip coming up with my kids. It's the first time we're going on vacation. And I'm so excited to be able to take him to hotels and to trips. And, it's one trip on vacation, but they're just like so, happy, and they love what I do. I do hypno-coaching. Now I help people to really
Absolutely.
embrace the goodness that comes to them with ease, to really find their passion and realize that their passion was never far away. It's just that we put all these layers of, oh my gosh, what are they going to say? Oh my gosh, I should be doing this because this is what I study. This is what I spend my time. This is what my mother expected me to do. That we disconnect from that. And then we disconnect from our own purpose. We disconnect from our own marriage, from our own lives, from our own children. We disconnect from who we are inside. And once you start just like cleaning that and cleaning all of this conflict that is inside of your unconscious mind, we realize that we are not only powerful, but we are naturally and inherently happy.
Yeah.
And happy, what is happiness? I spent 1 year talking about happiness. I had the Happy 365 because I felt like I needed it. I needed to talk happiness and be on that mindset. And what I discovered is that happiness is the absence of negative emotion. Happiness is the absence of negative emotions. So what do you do with those emotions? You look at what they are, you see what they're trying to communicate with you, and you let them go. You just like let them flow.
Well, and those
through
emotions
you.
are usually signs, just like pains in your body are signs, right? They're all signs telling you something. So once you handle it, you can go back to balance, right?
Yes, I have to confess that in the midst of all these crazy things, and I'm always reframing, I'm always seeing the other side,
Right.
I said, oh my gosh, isn't that awesome? I'm feeling emotions I never thought I was going to feel, like hatred. I never thought I was
You
going
never
to
thought you
hate
were going to hate
somebody so
someone so
much.
bad.
My goodness, is this what it feels like? I mean, as awful as it is, it's fantastic. I thought I was dead, just only feeling like, I'm in Pollyanna land. So having these amazing, intense emotions is not bad.
Oh
It's
my
what we're
God.
here in human land to live. It's a human experience.
I
When are we going to leave it? When
love
we're
your
like,
messages, Amelia. I mean, really, like it's a
when
whole
we cropped. No, we came here
it's a
to
whole
live it.
different reframing of your entire story, really, because like if you guys listen to the story, for those of you who haven't watched the whole thing, go back and re-listen to this incredible story. When I say epic, it's seriously epic. But the way that you transitioned out of what was a seriously dire situation, like, let's be honest, you went from everything to nothing, and with 4 kids, like, it's insanity. So in these last couple minutes, I really want you to talk about, well, one, obviously there's a reason why you're telling your story right now, and I want you to tell them what you're doing with yourself now and how you want to help people through your story and the work that you're doing now.
Yes, when I discovered that I had gone through so much things, and that there's no really a book out there that I could pick up that this time could help me. There was nobody I could find out there that could help me, that I wish I would have found before. I said, I have to become this person. First, for myself. Second, for my children. And third, because there gotta be other women out there that are being repressed, that are being oppressed, whether in their relationship or after the divorce, through those legal laws that really make it so stupid. How can you think that a kid can live out of $50 a month? You know, when, like I told an attorney one, and I say, how much do you pay for your Mercedes-Benz a month? Oh, I own it. Okay, cool. Imagine that you're going to lease it. How much do you pay? You know, and you have kids, right? You take your kids to school. So what tells you that the rights to your kids, you know, are better than the rights of my kids? Why would you say, oh, it's okay for you to leave out of $50? Just to say something, you know, I'm using any number. But I started to open my eyes and realize a world that otherwise it would have been oblivious to me. I would have never come in contact with it. And I had to become it so that I could raise and help women to find their voices, to own their truth, to own their power, to stop that submissive little thing. It's not helping the new generations, and it's not making us any happier. At the end of the day, nobody is going to escape Earth alive, are we?
No.
So we may as well live our passion, reframe ourselves, get the conflicts out of our unconscious mind, and leave what we came here to do. Live as goddesses, leave our mark behind, and live as wide, as open, as fully as we can, no matter what life brings at us. When life goes lemon, forget about lemonade. Go make margaritas and sell them, you know?
I love it. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they work with you? Because I know women who would love your services. And first of all, they'd be inspired by your personal story because it's so similar to their own. One of the women who's on right now is one of them. So how can they get in touch with you?
Thank you. I've been working one-on-one with clients, and one of the reasons I have decided to embrace the online community is because I really want to help a lot more women. The more I am online, the more I realize I am not alone, and I need to help other women so that we heal together, because this is a process, and I'm still healing, and we can do it graciously together and support each other. So I do have a website. It's One Woman Army, www.onewomanarmy.net. And it is not fancy. I don't have a lot of products just yet. I'm working on it, but there's only so many hours a day. But the more that I work with clients and the more I help people in the community, the more I'm becoming conscious about the need for people to understand that what tripped you is not you. It was the conflicting programming in your unconscious mind. So let's fix that first, and let's find your own truth so that you can live a better, like the most extraordinary reality that you can live later on. And I help people to do just that.
Absolutely. So guys, reach out to her on onewomanarmy.net. I just posted the URL. You can also find her on Facebook, Amelia Martinez, and also on Instagram. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Amelia Martinez IG in Instagram.
Yeah. There?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. The tech gods are attacking.
I guess they're sending a message. They're saying, oh, good.
I wanted to thank you and honor you for your message, for your bravery, because not every woman can tell the story, and certainly no one can tell the story like you, because your story is unique to you, but it's also a universal story that so many women can relate to in their own way, in their own level. So I appreciate you so much for sharing your story. When I first heard it, I was bewildered, and that's why I wanted to have you on my show, because I think you're inspirational, and I want women to see that it's time. It's a time of women, it's not just about empowerment. It's about, equalizing. It's about bringing balance, right? It's about women becoming more balanced and bringing, their true power out into the world, because we are equals. All of us are equals here. So thank you so much, Amelia, for joining the show. If you want to, like I said, reach out to her on onewomanarmy.net. And any last messages that you want to mention to the group?
I just want to thank you, and I want to thank all of your audience for having allowed me the opportunity to share my story with you. I just want to tell you that I am so proud to belong to this tribe, and that I am here to help in any way, shape, and form that I can. Thank you so much, Teeny. Your work
Thank you
is amazing,
guys.
boss.
Thank you. And we're going to have her soon on a panel. I'm going to have a panel with Amelia and some of the women that I've had on the show. I'm so excited about that. We're going to do that later on after the summer. So
Yes.
I'm really excited to have you on. And thank you guys again for joining us. It is the Purpose with Passion program, all the weekly dose of high vibe, forward thinking, and revolutionary content, as you can see from the stories that we told today, that encourages you to discover the passions that lead you to your purpose because you deserve it. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Passionful side. Bye, Amelia.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.